Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Crypto Hipsters Podcast, where I interview founders and co founders, entrepreneurs and artists, executives and stay at home hipsters in crypto and blockchain around the world. And I have an amazing podcast for you today. Let's get to it. My guest today, his name is Christopher McGregor. He's the CEO of Vesto LLC. Christopher, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're very, very, very welcome. So let me ask you the first thing. What is your background, and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
My background, I've been a full stack, I am a full stack engineer. I've been writing code my entire life, hands-on. And I've also been a serial entrepreneur. I started out the first startup in my 20s. We did a distributed prepaid for O2 in the UK, which was a big success. From there, I thought it was really easy. My second one, we did a biometric credit card, which was a little too early for, obviously the iPhone, Android took that market over, and did a lot of consulting over the years, but always was hands-on development. And in 2017, or the end of 2017, living in San Francisco at the time, I said I have to get into crypto. If I don't get into crypto, I'm never going to forgive myself. So I got involved in a startup 2018 and learned we were actually developing a blockchain and learned the roots of the crypto, the hashing, everything else, and looked at the market and realized that I want to do my own startup, and spent 2019 looking at the market, and actually the end of 2019 founded Vesto.
So Vesto, what is it all about, and what sets your protocol apart from the other level one DeFi protocols in the industry right now?
So I think we've been coined kind of the gateway to DeFi. So we built a protocol that resides on Ethereum and also Polygon. So I think really the core of it is we actually can put taken assets. Right now we're doing stable coins, USDC and DAI. We could take it in on the Ethereum side, put it into Yearn or Element or some of these protocols or DeFi protocols to get yield. At the same time, we mint Vesto ERC20 tokens, custom bridge over to Polygon to use them as payments. So in short, what we're doing is leveraging Ethereum for the yield and leveraging Polygon for low cost payments.
That's smart. You're the first one I heard doing that, and that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So you just had a recent mainnet launch too, right? And you said, let me see if I can get your quote here, and so I have it right. Well, actually, you know what? Let me ask the first one. Let me ask the first question first. What have been some of the benefits of your partner? Because you've had partnerships too. You had a mainnet launch, and you also had some partnerships, and you included a partnership with Element Finance, right? I want to first find out how your partnerships are going, and then I'll ask you about mainnet.
No, absolutely. We are very fortunate, very excited about our partnerships. Element Finance, great guys, great protocol, splitting up the principal and the yield, which is, I think, one of the first DeFi protocols to do that. We're also partnered with a company called Finclusive, and they are our, I would say, bank rails, fiat rails here in the United States, in Canada, and also our compliance, which has been absolutely brilliant. We're also, Ethereum, and we're also partnered with Polygon. We're close with the Polygon tech team and been developing it. So it's been, in my opinion, some of the best partners, some of the best in the industry. We're very, very fortunate.
So now I'll quote you. All right. You said regarding your mainnet launch, this launch represents a turning point and provides validation for our meticulous work in building a comprehensive protocol that offers a truly end-to-end solution for decentralized financial services and countless use cases beyond. So please walk us through the end-to-end solution and what issues plaguing DeFi sector, and there's a lot, do you solve in those use cases?
So I think that when people call us the gateway into DeFi, we do the end. So if you look at typical DeFi protocols, right? So let's take Yearn or some of these. They build a protocol, and everybody builds on top of it, right? Or you could have a unmanaged wallet, and you could put your assets directly into one of the protocols. For institutions, there's a lot of risk, right? And there's got to be a lot more management. So what Vesto's done from a high level is that we've got the on and off ramp for fiat into crypto with Finclusive and our partner Circle, which is great to get our USDC and also Maker. So we have all that bundled up. We have then all the integration to the DeFi to keep it really simple. So we manage all of that into Yearn or into Element, or even we're going to be starting to work with Aave Arc, and keeping it all seamless and really simple for institutions or even fintechs to get into. And also, we've customized the bridge between Ethereum and Polygon. We actually built on top of Polygon's FX portal so that we can take bulk assets from an institution, put it into DeFi, and basically put all those mint tokens over our bridge onto Polygon. And we do that all in one trustless transaction. And I know that was a lot of tech, but it took a lot of tech and a lot of time to bundle this to make it really, really simple for the institutions. And when we first looked at this, we said, we're going to go after banks. And that's why we developed it this way. We built, also I want to mention, we built a smart multi-sig wallet for the institutions with a very sophisticated signing policy. But now we're looking at tons of use cases that are popping up. We're looking at merchant payment. We're looking at pharmaceutical payments. We're looking at mobile money. We're looking at even sweep accounts or cash management. We just didn't realize how many different use cases this combination of tech that we put together is starting to open up for us.
All right, so with that, I'll have a lot of follow-ups. Well, for you, right?
Yeah.
I was on an institutional call last June. It was the second time that they tanked the market, and and it looks like we're tanking again this week. But the institutional players were celebrating on the call the retail players being kind of knocked out a bit, and their claim was they wanted crypto to be easier to get into for them, right? So why is it important for fintech and institutions to have a simple way to get into crypto, and what's been the real complaint that these guys have had for the past several years?
I think that the crypto's new, and there's not a lot, to get. I think that the obvious, or in my opinion, is it's new, right? It's maturing, and you don't have a lot of engineers out there, or even the support that understand how it all works. So if you're an institution, you want to get into crypto, there's a huge learning curve. And so the ability to shrink wrap some of these things like Vesto, and there's other companies that have done it as well, allows them to integrate with traditional tech, you might say, right? Web 2, if you want to look at it, and let Web 3 and the people who build protocols kind of give a gateway into Web 2. So it's almost like a bridge between Web 2 and Web 3. I think over time that's going to change, right? As crypto matures and there's more support on the tech side and developers, and there's obviously it's going to change over time, but it's no different than the internet when it first hit. A lot of people didn't understand how it worked. Over time, it grew, and there's now basically it's everywhere. Everything we do is the internet.
Got it. So that gateway, I don't know. I came in 2017. You came in before me. I guess we tend to undervalue the things that we've learned over the years. Is that learning curve still the same level of difficulty now for people entering, or or has it improved?
It definitely improved. I mean, when I got into, they don't have the developer tools now for Solidity, Hard Hat, even Truffle. You've got Open Zeppelin now that is taking a big stab. So these guys, and then you also have good wallets, multi-sig wallets off the shelf. A lot of those type of resources weren't available. I mean, I would say in the last 2 years, even less.
Got it. Okay. So then multi-sig, you mentioned pharmaceutical payments, and you mentioned merchant payments, right? What are still some of the challenges that we need to focus on to, really get the transparency that is needed for those
For the multi-sig or just for some of these opportunities?
opportunities?
I think regulation, especially in the United States, there's obviously, I think it's getting better, but having more clarity on the regulations. I think that a lot of people getting into it are saying, is this, where's the clarity? And I think the executive order obviously is going to help. And I think that I even saw an article this morning that California is now starting to embrace crypto. So I think that's been a big hurdle, is just to get some clarity so that, everybody says this is how we play in the sandbox of crypto.
Got it. Okay. So say this clarity happens, right? So why is it really be important for institutions to have access to fully automated intermediary free money, to attract yields that are customizable to them?
So I think that for the institution, especially what we did with Vesto, is that we allow institutions to easily get into DeFi, and we also allow the institution to customize the yield. So for instance, we can mint a token that has a particular yield. So if, let's say, 5% yield is the max you can get, let's say in Yearn, the institution can say, I want 50% of that, and I can mint a token for end users, obviously accredited users, the other 50% of the yield. And so the way we've done it is we've allowed the customization of where the yield goes and have the best benefits for putting those tokens on Polygon.
All right. So you said 3 words there, which is a touch point with me. You said obviously accredited users, right? So why should it be only accredited users that receive yield? Because there's been some hitbacks from the SEC saying that only accredited investors should receive yield. I just want to find out why not everybody.
That is a great question. I was in multiple conversations recently about that same subject. And one of our team members who comes from the financial industry said something that we really fruitful conversation. A lot of these DeFi protocols, or most of them, I would say all of them, especially if you're looking at stable coins. So let's say you take USDC, it's stable, pegged to the US dollar, right? So it's not Bitcoin, it's not Ether, and it's not volatile. You put it into a protocol like Element or Yearn, you're going to get a yield. The protocol itself is over collateralized, which means that your balance never goes lower than what you put in. So the question came up is, what is the risk if the protocol itself is designed so that you never lose your principal, you only go up? And that was the conversation we had last week. It's a really, really good, interesting point. Now, there's other protocols out there, for instance, like a great protocol that we're looking at seriously, like Ribbon Finance. They are a put call strategy with Ether, which is great, but there is inherent risk. So a protocol like that, I would almost say that depending on the risk, you would be accredited. But for a lot of the DeFi that's out there, Compound, Aave, all these guys, or even Curve, right? I don't see the risk, and that's a really good question.
So there's really no answer other than favoritism then.
I guess so.
Okay. Well, I'm accredited, but I can't get an accountant to write a letter. So So right now I'm unaccredited, but I am credited. So we'll see how that plays out. But um, yeah, protecting investors is important. But so let me go into the multi-sig, right? How is an enterprise multi-sig wallet, that provides secure storage and management services for crypto assets a real game changer for institutions?
I think it's a must. I think it's a great question. I look at it. I look at it from almost a managed or unmanaged, right? So if I am an end user, I have, anybody can create a wallet and manage their own funds, right? And there's the managed, right? Multisig. I kind of look at it from that perspective. With a multisig wallet, even now they're calling them smart wallets or multisig. There's many things you can do that are almost a must. Like, let me give you an example. Vesto's wallets are non-custodial, which means that one of the private keys is always controlled by the user, but Vesto has another private key, and you need two keys to do a transaction. So once the reason we did that, and this came up with a use case, everything we do, all the assets coming in, the user, it's all KYC, all AML. If somehow one of our users gets flagged and says for AML or it's a bad actor, what do? There's nothing you can do on an unmanaged wallet. With a managed wallet or multi-sig, Vesto doesn't even sign the transactions, which means you can freeze those funds. Now, under the law, we can't take the funds, but at least we can lock them up, right? With also managed funds, if you look at some of these bigger institutions, they're moving a lot of assets around. Now, with a multi-sig, and another thing that Vesto is doing with our signing policy, you could have limits to say, okay, if it's under, $1,000, it takes one signature, one individual. Let's say it's over $10 million in assets, you need two signatures, or even if it's greater, you need three. So all these type of policies you can't do with an unmanaged, or I would say a non-multi-sig wallet. Also, one of the benefits too is AML. So for instance, if a user wants to go send or actually transfer tokens on an unmanaged, there's nothing you can do. It's done. They can do it. They have the private key. They can run it. With the multi-sig, you could actually check the address and do a KYT and say, with some of the providers out there to see if it's been blacklisted before the even money gets transferred out of the wallet. So I think as the regulation now is getting more and more involved in crypto, I think multi-sig is a must.
It seems like a multi-sig is just a building block right now because there seem to be other challenges in that KYC AML. Like, what are some of them, and how do we make that a smoother process?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. I think one of the ways that we've tried for our first version is to really lock down, because we're going after certain use cases and some of the financial institutions. The AML, we're actually simplifying. The first version that we're doing is we can only transfer between wallets of Vesto. So you can't transfer outside of our ecosystem, number one. I think that version 2, we're definitely going to open it up. But I think that starting to put some of these controls, which you can do in smart contracts on the blockchain, I think is going to help give comfort, I would say, to the market and also the regulators.
Okay. So that's all DeFi, right? So now you go into another area of contention, or used to be hot, and now it's down 90%, and 93% this year, is NFTs, right? So recently, they've been the most used crypto on-ramp. But what do you see as some of the challenges still there? And then also, what's the next crypto on-ramp?
I think we are just, as Vesto, just dipping our toe into NFTs, but we're getting really excited about it. I think the challenges today. Well, one of the challenges I think is being solved is royalty streams with NFTs. I think that's a big thing that was with the ERC 721. The secondary market, the artists weren't actually getting paid royalties as they were being auctioned off in secondary markets. There are standards. I think it's the 2891 we're looking into, if I got that right, ERC 20 or ERC 2891, where those royalties can be suggested in the actual minting contract. And OpenSea, I believe now, especially on Polygon, also on Ethereum, are now recognizing that. So some of those challenges, well, definitely challenging for artists who aren't getting paid. That's kind of, I think, as I'm not an expert yet into NFTs, I think one of the challenges I've seen.
And then the next on ramp.
Um,
What do you
I
really
think,
like a
yeah,
DeFi 2.0 or something?
yeah, I think that some of the conversations we've had, and I'm really exciting about it. So if you look at the non-fungible, I think it's endless. I think that right now it's just like the internet. Everybody's excited about NFT. It's a new concept versus like a currency or a fungible token like ERC20. I look at trade finance. If you look at managing trade finance, you got a boat full of bananas going from one country to the next. How do you manage that? You can manage that with NFTs. Supply chain. I know people have been talking about supply chains for years, but I think NFT is an absolute perfect for trade finance for new assets coming on like mortgages, right? If you had an NFT that represented your mortgage, your asset for your home, also looking at fractional ownership of assets as well. I think that the market is definitely going to open up. I think right now it's just everybody's excited about NFT and everybody's getting into it, and it's definitely dropped, like you said. But I think it's no different than the internet. The internet comes out, everybody gets excited, it drops a little bit, but the real use cases and ways to use this is probably going to come up in the next 18 months to 2 years.
So the on ramp will continue to be NFTs.
I completely agree.
Okay. And you were going to see another DeFi summer this year, or is everything headed downhill?
I hope so. I hope so. I don't know. I've been thinking about that a lot. I don't know. I think that I hope so. I think with some of these other big opportunities coming in with NFTs, we could. I think we could, but who knows? Crypto.
So awesome. So great. So I want to thank you very much for your time today. It's been a great conversation, and I have really one final question right now, and that's how can people find out more information about you, about your company, about Vesto, about what you guys are up to? How can they follow your roadmap? How can they keep up to date with everything that you're doing?
Absolutely. You can go to our website, Vesto, VESTO.io.
That's it. That's everything. So, awesome, awesome. So,
Thank you very much.
yeah, thank you for your time today. It's been great. Thank you.
Take care.